What's going on, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're last week's album. And before we go any further, let's kick things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Kevin. Cheers, friends at home.
Cheers, Derek. And yes, everyone at home.
This week we are reviewing Sun Structures by a band called Temples. They are a quartet out of England, Kettering, Northamptonshire, to be more specific. They're comprised of James Edwards Bagshaw on guitar and vocals, Thomas Edison Wamsley on bass guitar, Sam Toms on drums, and Adam Smith on keyboards. This is their debut LP, and despite minimal airplay in UK, this band has received praise from fellow countryman Noel Gallagher, and I'm hearing reportedly Liam disagreed with that vehemently, so, you know, those guys still can't get along. So without further ado, let's go to Sounds Like. Kevin, what do you think about Temples?
Derek, I think Sun Structures by Temples sounds like a dead serious Foxygen mixed with a less electronic management. What did you think?
Wow. Okay, I like that. I took a little bit different approach here. I said on Sun Structures, Temples sounds like the 21st century digital Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So,
going? Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of psych here if you couldn't get that from our Sounds Like. So let's go to key tracks. Kevin, what did you have?
Derek, for my key tracks, I had Keep in the Dark and Mesmerise. What about you?
Nice. I actually had Shelter Song and Move with the Season. Shelter Song being the opening track, so I'll start there. This one kicks off with just a very 60s reminiscent sounding guitar riff. I thought it might even be a 12-string, just had a very heavy sound to it. Just really heavy bass snare drums. The vocal melodies I thought were pretty interesting from the very get-go. It was call and response. However, unlike normal patterns there, in this case the group or chorus performed the call while the lead vocalist provided the response, which is I thought very interesting. There was some harp in there, I thought, just really diverse instrumentation, just really dive ahead beat. I just really enjoyed this one. Fantastic sound right from the gate.
Yeah, I thought it was a good opener as well, and my favorite part, as you mentioned, was the call and response. But I didn't notice the flip they did there, so good call, Derek. However, for my first key track, I'm going with Keep in the Dark, and this is actually my favorite track on the album. It's super groovy overall. Poppin' drums, jangly acoustic, monotone vocals at the start, and then later there's some synth and harp flourishes, some cooing vocals and tambourine hits. And then about in the middle of the song, there is this low, raunchy guitar riff that sounds like a horn. It's heavily affected to sound like, I don't know, baritone sax or something. And that bit, for me, is the best part of the whole album. I just love that sound they created. The message, I'm not sure if it's about a lady of the night or escapism or rescuing a lady of the night, but I liked it just overall for its sort of woozy, ethereal feel. So yeah, what was your next key track, Derek?
Kevin, my next one was Move with the Season. This one kind of kicked off with a somber electric guitar riff, and there was just waves of intricately layered vocals, hypnosis-inducing vocal melody, especially during the chorus. The drums I thought here were fantastic in their presence and absence, just really added a lot to the song here. There were other subtle flourishes, harp, strings, as you kind of mentioned earlier. And this one, I picked up on little subtle nuances every time I listened to it, and that really made this one more enjoyable. Just a lot going on, very deep, really catchy, a lot of good things. So Move with the Season, fantastic song.
Nice. For my second key track, I'm going with Mesmerise. Notice the S spelling, because they're Brits. But I loved it because at the very beginning there's this acid, or acidic, as I'm calling it, guitar intro, and that melody is basically the hook for the whole song. Later we get layered vocals and crashing cymbals, and this super, super layered chorus Almost reminds me of like stuff Freddie Mercury would do with like 37 vocal tracks. It sounds like that many here. And it's a super catchy earworm, again, based on that guitar intro that we hear played throughout the song. Some bright synths, and again, cryptic lyrics as usual that I'm not exactly sure what they're saying, but it still makes for a really feel-good jam. So yeah.
Kevin, that was also one of my favorites, and I really like that you mentioned the fact that it's often hard to pick up on what they're saying, and oftentimes when you can, it's very cryptic. So let's go to best lyric.
Perfect. You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, if you could find something intelligible to tell us, pray tell.
Yeah, there is a lot of reverb and sort of echoing out of the vocals going on here, but I was able to make this one out from A Question Isn't Answered, partially helped by the fact that the title of the song was in there. But it goes, a question isn't answered if an answer isn't questioned. An answer has a meaning when new meaning has a truth. So it's not super deep, but that's kind of where they're playing in this sort of like hippie psych arena, if you will, of lyricism. Don't go too deep, but still try and have some clever fun with it. So that's why I dug that one. What'd you like, Derek?
Kevin, mine comes from Shelter Song, and it really plays to all those factors you just mentioned. So here it is. One night, you came on over to me. Late night, we shared a drink or three. Night, night, I read a proverb to you. That night, she left a room with a view. Just kind of fun, you know, not much, you know, not too deep, but when you combine that with the fantastic melodies they got going on, it was just really catchy. I thought kind of fun there. So let's go to overall rating then. Kevin, what do you think about Temple's Sun Structures?
All right, I am going with 3 out of 5. I thought it was a great album, but I didn't think there was anything spectacularly new. It starts out really strong, but for about halfway through, it started to get a little bit monotonous for me. And they're very good at knowing when they have a strong hook. Sometimes too much so, and then they keep harping on it again and again and again, whether it be through voice and later by instrument. They do that a lot. And sometimes it was just overkill for me. But again, great melodies. I also felt like they just needed some more lyrics, some better lyrics to back up those melodies. And I think they've got great potential, so I'm excited to see what they do next. What did you think, Derek?
Kevin, I like what your summary there. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I also thought it was very musically solid, surprisingly diverse instrumentation, you know, especially from such a new, relatively unestablished band. Even in my notes here, completely agree. Vocal melodies were just incredibly catchy and stick with you even after you push pause and not even listening to it actively. And, you know, I don't often agree with Noel Gallagher, but in this case I do. Give him my 4. So a 4 out of 5 for myself and a 3 out of 5 from Kevin for Sun Structures by Temples. Thanks again for joining us at last week's album. Don't forget to subscribe to our shiz and join us again next week. Till then, cheers.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.